The U.S. President Donald Trump just moments ago pledged to help Afghans detained in the United Arab Emirates after fleeing their country during the Taliban's takeover. Trump said, "I will try to save them starting right now," in a Truth Social post linking to an article about the evacuees held in limbo. Despite previously suspending refugee resettlement and ending deportation protections for thousands of Afghans in the U.S., Trump's latest statement signals a shift. The UAE, a close U.S. ally, agreed in 2021 to temporarily shelter several thousand Afghans evacuated from Kabul. Canada later resettled about 1,000 of them in 2022. Following a U.S. request, the exact number still held in the UAE remains unknown. Nearly 200,000 Afghans have been brought to the United States by President Joe Biden's administration, including relatives of Afghan-American military personnel and those who supported the U.S. during the 20-year war. Now we go back to our guest discussion with Scott Faulkner. Thank you, Scott, for staying with us. Now, what are the broader implications of inconsistent U.S. refugee policies on America's credibility and moral leadership, particularly for allies who supported U.S. missions abroad?
Well, the Afghan refugee situation had several phases. The first was just to get the individuals out of harm's way. And even I was involved with getting key people who were allies of the United States out of Afghanistan. Some went to, the ones I worked with actually went to India. So you have this, in essence, Afghan diaspora in all these different parts of the world. Trump, of course, wants to make sure that bad people don't come to the United States, that people who do come are properly vetted. So his initial plan was really not a ban on Afghan refugees coming to the United States, but more of a pause to make sure that like in the initial wave under Biden, a lot of people rushed those planes and we really didn't know who they were, whether they were friend or foe. Trump is trying to be much more methodical, and so it is not an inconsistent policy, it's just simply a prudent policy.
And Scott, now what might be motivating President Trump's sudden shift in tone regarding these Afghan detainees?
A lot of colleagues of mine who are very involved with Afghan issues have probably been doing back channel to the Trump administration and to Trump himself, saying, listen, these people are real. They are people who helped us in different ways during our time in Afghanistan. They need to have a permanent future as opposed to being sitting in temporary situations in the various other countries. And I'm sure that eventually this argument for to basically say these people need a permanent home finally swayed enough people to change the policy. I don't think there was any other agenda behind the agenda. I think it was just a case that with Trump, basically, we like to say operating on Trump time. So many things are happening in America and the world right now during his administration that it finally got a fair hearing in the right place and the right decision was finally made.
And now looking at the latest statements from President Trump, what expectations might arise from allies currently hosting displaced populations such as UAE?
Well, I think again that that if these people ultimately come to the United States as permanent residents, as hopefully on a pathway to citizenship, then you figure that these countries, whether it's UAE, whether it's India, whether it's other places, a lot of these people, because they're temporary, they are really not settling in. They're probably on different types of relief and welfare, and so that's a burden to these countries. And so having them move to a permanent home where they can settle in, they can get a real job, they can be incorporated into our country is going to be hopefully welcomed by all these sort of temporary hosts.
Yes, indeed. Now, thank you very much, Scott Faulkner, for joining us today and sharing your insight as in head of Eagle Enterprises, a security firm. Now we move on to our next news.